After recording this episode, I'll be going on a writing retreat, 5 days with a best-selling author to start to actually develop craft of writing and get called out by like writers who write for a living.
You know, it's good to develop your writing craft after you've already written a book.
100%. Hey everyone, this is Lead with Who You Are, and I'm Dia Bondi. On this show, we are exploring and discovering what it means for you to lead with who you are, and we're doing it with me and Baby Arthur, our producer, and a whole bunch of different guests, leadership guests, folks who are running their own small businesses, folks who are successful in their careers, and folks who write about all things leadership and life. In this episode, I'm mad at Newton. Today's going to be a solo episode. You're going to hear a little bit from Baby A as well. But specifically, when it comes to being mad at Newton, I'm mad at his third law, that whole equal and opposite reaction thing. And if you get frustrated with all your effort and little outcome, stick with me here, because me too. In this episode, I'm going to share 5 or 6 things I do and you can do to check to see if there's actually an equal and opposite reaction to your efforts, but you're just not seeing it. When to keep going, when to quit, stick around. Hey, just a quick reminder. You can subscribe to this show on your podcast platform of choice. We're live nearly everywhere, and you can always listen to the show at diabondi.com. If there's a leader or innovator in your life who is at their shiniest when they lead with who they truly are, please share the show with them and rate, subscribe, and leave us a review. It makes a huge difference in the reach that the show has when you let everyone else know what you love about the show. Thanks so much. You love audio, right? That's why you're here right now. Well, Ask Like an Auctioneer, the audiobook, is available for pre-order now. Or if you're listening to this episode after November 14th, 2023, it's live right now. Head to your favorite audiobook source and add it to your queue. You won't regret it because it has jokes in it. Kinda. Learn to ask like an auctioneer with me right in your headphones. Hi, Baby A.
Hi.
For those of you listening who are like, who's Baby A? So Baby A is Arthur Leon Adams III. He started when this podcast was the Dia Bondi Show, first iteration, before we expanded it to kind of include all the work, not just helping women ask for more and get it, that I do. Your voice is always on the show.
Yeah, a little bit.
At the front end, the back end.
We used to deconstruct the ideas that were brought up in the show at the end.
Exactly, which is just longhand for we just gig it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so now that I had my creative freak out a couple of episodes ago, and I was like, that's it. I want to do more free speaking and do more writing, and I want to be a little less scripted. Then now he's back. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
No. Okay, today I'm going to call this a solo episode, even though Baby A is here, because we're just not having a third-party guest. So, by the way, folks, as you listen to this show, Baby A is always here. Basically, you just don't hear him. And for those of you who are like, why do you call him Baby A? That sounds insulting. Can you just remind everybody yet again?
Yes. Now, I just did this on the last episode we did together. Do you think we need to recap it again?
I guess maybe not.
Yeah.
It's a friendly
my nickname's
nickname.
Baby A.
The end. Okay,
The end.
Great. So today I want to talk about Newton's third law because it's pissing me off. I'm so mad at him and so mad at it right now.
Gotcha.
And I am not okay, so third law is about in nature, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? This is familiar to you, Baby A?
Yes.
Okay. But right now, I have a few notes, but I'm just going to jam on this. Right now, that ratio for me feels like it sucks. Maybe for folks who are listening, you're also yeah, I've been doing a lot of things lately and not seeing the equal and opposite reaction. doing a lot of effort, running a lot of campaigns, building a lot of stuff, I don't know, making a lot of tough calls, doing a lot of, exerting a lot of energy, like taking a lot of action, actually doing things, not just talking about things. And maybe, like me, you're frustrated with not seeing the equal and opposite reaction to all of those actions. This is a thing in life and leadership, is it not? Where you go out and do stuff and you cannot immediately see the callback, the equal and opposite reaction. So what's the problem with that? I mean, the problem with that obviously is like it can totally lead to burnout. You can lose faith really easily, which is hard to not do in the middle of doing a lot of things and not seeing that equal and opposite reaction within a time frame that makes you go, oh, I did this thing and it caused a particular outcome. Maybe in your business, maybe in your own leadership, maybe in the way that you're leading your teams, or you're reorging something, or you've switched an approach to how you're doing something, or you had a particular goal and you took a bunch of actions that made you think that you would get there sooner than you actually are. Or it's not playing out the way that you thought. And so it feels like all of the opposite reactions are just kind of invisible to you. It's like a ripple in a lake that just it's still traveling across the lake, but you're not seeing it bounce back at you yet. That can be a burny-outy kind of feeling. It can really cause us to lose a little faith, or like even have a temptation to quit. Like, why am I doing this? And most of those feelings often happen right before the baby comes. For those of you listening, if you've had children through birthing them, you know that feeling of, or that moment where things are really crazy and it's like it's never going to happen. And that means it's just about to happen. And to not, in our lives and work, I just made a birthing reference, baby. Hey, is that bad?
I thought it was a very apt metaphor.
Okay, thanks so much. So I'm going to keep going. I'm just gonna forge on. I'm going to imagine you do not cut it out of this episode because it's true. There's a thing that happens in birth called transition, and it's like literally that part where your body shakes and you get the quivers and you get really emotional and you're kind of like, this is never going to end, and you feel like disoriented and crazy, and you've been doing all this work and no progress. And that's always the time you ask for drugs if you haven't already had them, like, painkillers. And it is also exactly the sign that baby's just about to come. And you think about this in our creative endeavors, right? How many founder stories do we hear where people say it was all crazy and everything felt like all was lost, and then boink, something happened and we got our first biggest customer that floated us for the next year. Or right when things feel like they're falling apart is actually the time when something came together in an unexpected way. So there's something about when we're not feeling these equal and opposite reactions, and you're really tempted, can cause us to want to give up when maybe it's not quite time to give up. But at the same time, if we ignore the ratios that are not working, like there's the other side to say like, okay, I did a bunch of stuff and I'm not seeing the results I want, that if the ratio isn't good, if you're not seeing something bounce back to you, it's okay to quit. Like there is such a thing as going, that didn't work. Let me try something else. We don't want to barrel ahead with tens of thousands of calories worth of more effort for things that are just never going to cause even a half-ass equal or half-ass equal opposite reaction to the actions that we're taking. So there's like this weird tug and pull. What is that? Tug of war? I don't know what tug and pull is.
Yeah, I think you mean push and pull, I think.
Push and pull. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. Thanks so much. This kind of funny tension between holding faith that the effort that you're exerting and not seeing that equal and opposite reaction come back to you for, against not giving up because you're not seeing it immediately. It's like you can be a little stuck in a hard place, right? Do I keep going? Do I cut ties? And what you can't do is burn yourself all the way to the ground, making effort that doesn't produce anything, but also give up constantly when you don't have that instant gratification. which is sort of the down and dirty way of saying equal and opposite reaction to the action that you're taking in the world, in your work, in your household, in your art, and whatever the thing is. We have to kind of play the long game, knowing that I look in my business, there are things equal and opposite reactions to actions I took 2 years ago that are just coming back to me now. And I had kind of given up on them. Like, oh, I did that thing, made no difference. And then actually, no, that ripple moved its way all the way across the lake, hit the other shore, and came back to me. It just took a really long time. Or there were equal and opposite reactions that I didn't even see or notice because I was so busy. I hate the word busy. Maybe I was so engaged or excited about something else. Maybe I saw a squirrel and it caught my eye. So I want to talk about I am in this space right now. I'm noticing it right now. Mad at Newton because I'm not seeing my equal and opposite reactions, and knowing also that probably I need to keep the faith and not give up. So what do you do in these moments where you're looking at, do I let go or do I keep going? Because you're not getting that loop back. So here's a couple thoughts, some things that I'm doing and you might do to gauge whether it's time to tug or pull. No, what did we say? Push or pull?
Yeah.
Not that.
Yeah, push or pull.
So number one.
Because tugging and pulling is the same.
Is it?
Tugging.
Right, because
pulling.
it's toward me, and
Yeah.
then the pulling is towards you. Got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there are a couple of things that I hold on to help me go, do I keep going or do I let go? One is really take a minute to look for the signs. Because the equal and opposite reaction might not be coming back to you in the form you expected. You might think, I don't know. Yesterday, I was on our local news channel, okay? Maybe I thought, oh, all right, I'm on the news. I'm going to sell 100 books because I'm on the news. And that's not at all what may have happened. I have no idea, actually, because I'm not looking at the pre-order list. But, for example, I may have had an expectation that was the kind of equal and opposite reaction I got, but maybe something else is going to happen in the next couple of days as a result of that. But I might not make the connection that the effort that I put into, being a guest expert, because that was not low stress, that was like a performance moment for me. That might not cause a reaction that I can directly connect to it. But if I take a minute and look that, oh, this thing swung around to me, and maybe a sign that other effort that I exerted was the cause of it. So look for those signs. 2, adjust your timetable. Sometimes we can have an unrealistic expectation of the time it takes for that ripple to make its way across the lake and back. Now that I'm moving into more long game kinds of plays, like writing and launching my first book, I'm not going to get the instant feedback that I'm used to getting in, let's say, my sort of tight timeline strategic projects I engaged with. Like, I've worked on a couple of Olympic bids, and when we're engaged in that, we know there's vote day, and we will know if we won or we lost. It's a pretty clear timeline. But the timelines in a lot of these other places where you might be feeling into something new, you might be operating in a domain that doesn't have a timeline that is aligned to what you're used to. You've got to check that out and adjust in that way so you can see that equal and opposite. 3rd is see what is actually sticky about what you're doing. Weirdly, this is a teeny tiny example. I was in a conversation the other day on a podcast with a woman who was in my very first workshop for Ask Like an Auctioneer. And she said back to me, it was 4.5 years ago maybe. She said back to me 3 or 4 of the key ideas that are now in the book that I was shocked and amazed, stuck with her for those 4.5 years. And she said them back to me verbatim. voluntarily. And it was such an equal and opposite reaction moment for me because I was like, oh, these were the ideas that stuck with her. She can say them back to me in a way that's incredibly accurate on how they're delivered. And she was able to tell me how she used them to double her role and, excuse me, double her salary in the last 4 years. It was no joke. And what was amazing about it was that I recognized in that moment, like, oh, I could ask for that. What stuck with you about it? How did you use those? We can go and ask and find out what was sticky about the actions that we took so that we can kind of feel their equal and opposite reaction. Because I can't expect everybody who ever comes across the content that I create, including you, dear listener, to let me know whether it had an impact or not. And so I can feel very far away from the idea that, like, I did this effort, produced this podcast right now at 2:48 p.m. on the West Coast on a Wednesday, sandwiched between a million other things that I'm doing. This is an effort. Does it have an equal and opposite reaction? I would never know because I'm not talking to you. So finding opportunities to talk to the people, I'm talking to you, but I'm not talking with you, dear listener. So it's my job, if I want to sense the equal and opposite, to ask, what was sticky about it? What stuck with you? What was interesting about it? How did you use it? What do you want more of? So then I can see, it did actually have some semblance of an equal and opposite. So we want to find out what's sticky. And we can do that by asking for reflections from others because we never know what kind of impact we have as leaders, as content creators. And I don't even think of myself as a content creator, but somebody who deals in developing and articulating ideas. And then to take inventory of your progress. I was on a conversation a couple of weeks ago. Somebody said, look at you in the last 4 years. Look what happened. And I looked around. I was like, I don't know, what did happen? And she enumerated all these things, all this progress that she saw that I had accomplished, things that I had created, movements I had made. Well, I'm mired still, even to this day, in struggle. Meaning I'm doing work every day, and we can't see where we are. So taking inventory of your progress yourself or with the peers in your network or with people who are, your fans and champions and mentors, to enumerate the things that have come about because of your efforts can help you, again, feel that ripple come back to you from the other side of the lake when you feel like you've maybe lost sight of it. And then in that process, take a look at and decide how much of an opposite reaction is enough to let you keep going and how much is not enough and tells you it's time to give up on that effort. It's time to walk away from a strategy that's not working. We can't measure that unless we actually take a little bit of that inventory. So if you're feeling frustrated at all, at the lack of that satisfaction you can get by seeing the impact of your work, the impact of your leadership, the impact of your incredible effort, thinking effort, physical effort, creative effort, difficult decision-making effort. You can do these little things to help you notice if there's an unequal or a fully equal and opposite reaction to those actions you've taken. Look for those signs, adjust your timetable, see what's sticky, and ask for reflections from other. Take some inventory with the help of people around you who are witnessing the great work that you're doing, and decide how much of a reaction is necessary for you to hold on and how much is not enough that can help you say, ooh, that's just not worth doing anymore. Baby,
Dia, what's up?
I launched a Substack.
I know. I saw that. I got an email about it.
Yeah, it's called Far-Fetched, and there's like 7 people subscribed. It's so exciting.
Nice. And there'll be 8 subscribed here in a second.
Okay, excellent. And you know what I got the other day?
What's that? I
got my very first paid subscriber. At first I was like, I'm I'm not going to put any paid stuff. This is really, so Far-Fetched is a set of impossible and plausible ideas and takes on life and leadership. It's the place where I'm going to be practicing my writing craft through an essay format around ideas that hit me that I want to write about, that I feel I can get, 1,100 to 1,500 words out around. I made my first post last week and it was super fun. It's all going to be in one takes, everybody. So I'm going to jam through an essay. I'm going to take one pass to clean it up. It might have typos in it. I don't know what to tell you. It's really about at-bats. It's about shipping words. Okay, so I'm going to ship it. And sometimes you're going to get audio. If a paid subscriber, you're going to get audio commentary from me just talking about how that piece ended up, whether I liked it or not, because I'll ship stuff I don't like.
Right.
And I want to talk about why I didn't like it, because the whole point of these essays is for me to find and develop and claim my writing voice, to get into understanding what my writing voice is, and I want to do it in the open with you. Now, at first, I was like, I'm not going to do a paid tier. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to let people tip me $5 a month. I'm going to let you do that. And weirdly, I got 1 subscriber.
That's not weird.
I was like, oh, look, somebody wants to tip me. It's amazing. Actually, I knew who it was, and I sent him a text and said, hey, you're number one. You're number one.
Nice.
You're number one. And he was beyond honored to be my very first one. So if you want to head over to my Far-Fetched Substack, you can just find me on Substack and look for Far-Fetched. It's the only publication that I have right now. I will ship things fairly frequently. I don't know. It'll be every month, or maybe it'll be 3 in 1 week and then nothing for 3 weeks. I don't know what it's going to be, but you can come along for the ride. You're going to see weird stuff about leadership and life. I'm going to probably do a post about this idea of, equal and opposite pissing me off. But it'll be a little tidier because it won't just be me talking into a mic. It'll be a little tidier and actually trying to write something with writing craft. Next week, after recording this episode, I'll be going on a writing retreat, 5 days with a best-selling author, to start to actually develop craft of writing and get called out by writers who write for a living.
It's good to develop your writing craft after you've already written a book.
100%. When I was talking to the woman who's going to run this retreat, she was like, so where are you in your writing journey? And I was like, well, I just wrote a book. I think I'm at the beginning. I think I said that a few episodes ago. But
right.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a musician. Isn't there a thing where you're like, I just taught myself to play guitar, and then later you go take lessons? Is that ever a thing?
Or you just develop your craft over many, many years, and it's not like you hate every song you wrote when you were 20, but you just get better and better at it.
Right, and you kind of learn how you do it, right?
Yeah, totally. You become you as a songwriter or as a whatever. Yeah.
Right. What's that quote? I think Miles Davis said, "It takes a lifetime to sound like yourself."
Mm-hmm.
It can take a lifetime to, it can take a lifetime to sound like yourself, I think, something like that. And so that's the journey that I'm on, but I'm going to do it. I mean, I went and got a coaching certification after 10 years of doing coaching, because coaching wasn't a word yet. And there was so much about it that I was like, oh yeah, I already do that. Oh yeah, I already do that. Oh yeah, I already do that. But I was getting concrete frameworks. I kind of gave me a language for approaching what I was already doing. And I got leveled up 100% at that time. And I feel like investing in writing as going not just doing the writing because it's fun, but to go oh, when you do this in an essay, it's called that. And I can kind of use that as a tool in my toolbox instead of just intuitively doing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So anyhow, I head on over to my Substack and subscribe today. Also, last thing to say is that our audiobook is for Ask Like an Auctioneer is up. So hope folks will find it. It will be up on Audible on launch day, November 14th, 2023. It is available on a bunch of other platforms, including Apple Books right now. Baby A, it was so nice to be mad at Newton with you. Thanks for sitting and listening. And thanks everyone here for listening.
He's been dead 300 years, but we can still be mad at him.
100%. See you next time, everybody.
All right, bye.
Lead with Who You Are is a production of Dia Bondi Communications and is scored, mixed, and produced by Arthur Leon Adams III. Have a question or an inquiry? Reach out to us at hello@diabondi.com. You can Share, rate, and subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite shows. Go to diabondi.com for the show notes to find our tools, frameworks, content, and programs to help you and your team speak powerfully and lead with who you are.